Brilliance Audio.
I Remember You by Brian Freeman. Performed by Carlotta Brenton. How bad was that July 4th? Let me count the ways. First, I got fired from my job that morning. Admittedly, this happens to me a lot. My headhunter tells me that I don't know how to play the corporate political games or make nice with people who offer up bad ideas. In other words, I'm not exactly diplomatic when I open my mouth. Guilty as charged. But hey, if you're writing web copy for an implantable prosthesis to treat impotence, expect me to mock you for the headline, "Our pump will get you pumping." I assumed my boss was kidding about that, but he wasn't. Unfortunately, by the time I realized that, I'd unleashed 10 minutes of jokes in front of the entire marketing staff. When I was done, he looked like he needed that implant for himself. So I wasn't altogether surprised that he took time out of his holiday to call and tell me not to bother coming into work the next day. Once again, I was between jobs. If you're keeping count, that's 3 times in the past year. I'd like to pretend that I had enough savings to tide me over for a few months, but in fact, I was dead broke. That was the beginning of my July 4th from hell. Next, my boyfriend of 2 years broke up with me. 2 years, and he dumped me cold, not in person, but with a text. "You're great, Hallie, but here's the thing." What was the thing? Well, it turned out that Nico had been sleeping with my roommate, who was also my best girlfriend, and now he was moving in with her. That's bad enough, but if you read between the lines, you'll see that I lost my lover, my best friend, and my apartment in the space of one message thread. Hallie's score for Independence Day? I was jobless, moneyless, friendless, sexless, and homeless. And then, like the rocket's red glare to cap off my night, I died. I'm not kidding. Literally, I died. My heart went into atrial fibrillation, and then it stopped altogether. R.I.P. Hallie Evers, 29 years old. You'd think that once you die, things can't really get much worse. But oh no, you'd be wrong. That was when my nightmare began. I'd spent that July 4th evening at a rooftop party at one of the casinos on the Las Vegas Strip. The atmosphere up there was lush and dreamy, but most of all, it was hot. By 10 o'clock at night, the temperature outside was still about 1,000 degrees. When you live in Nevada, you feel a little closer to the sun than other places. That was the first of the problems that led to my cardiac arrest. The heat. Even when you think you're used to it, you're not, and you need to be careful. That's particularly true if you have a weak heart, which I do. The party was sponsored by a New York venture capital firm named Temple Funds that pours millions of dollars into promising medical device startups. They were always on the hunt for the next big thing. Technically, the annual MedX convention had wrapped up the previous evening, but almost everyone stayed around for another day of gambling and a last night of free booze courtesy of Paul Temple and his partners. Plus, it was the 4th, so we all had a great place on the roof to watch the fireworks. I'd planned to go to the party anyway, but now that I was back in the job market, I definitely wasn't going to miss the chance to hang out with a few hundred drunk doctors and engineers who might want to hire me. Despite the heat, the garden felt like a magical desert. From the roof, the glimmering towers of the other casinos floated around us as if we were high in the clouds. Orange light bathed rows of palm trees, and the swimming pools gleamed turquoise, making me want to jump in. The late evening darkness gave the faces a kind of shadowy mystery, like zombies bumping and stumbling around me in a dead man's shuffle. There were private oases surrounding the pools, sheltered by curtains, so people back there could do whatever private things they wanted. A DJ played loud, bass-thumping dance music. Dua Lipa was levitating, and so was I,